morning. It's 4:20 in the morning in the United States of America, Central Standard Time. And I'm here because I can't sleep. I'm in a lot of pain. I wanted to talk about the opioid crisis. There's people out here ODing on fentanyl, heroin, something called cement of death, flocka. I don't even know what all those drugs are, but most of them contain a really strong opioid called um, fentanyl, and they mix it with heroin, and it's causing a lot of ODs, and because of that, we have what is known as the opioid crisis. We've been having the war on drugs since the 70s, 80s, when the government introduced crack cocaine to the ghetto, um, into black communities. And then, of course, as time went on, uh, doctors and pharmacists were getting kickbacks to prescribe opiate drugs such as morphine, hydrocodone, uh, codeine, oxycontin. Um, that's just a few of what I know. Um, I am not well versed in the drugs and stuff. Um, like the different types that are out there. I try not to stay current with that type of stuff. I have a bad habit of pretending that if I ignore it, it doesn't exist. And that means that I feel like I'm protecting my children by not watching the news and letting that stuff come in to our home through media, um, and stuff. But in the end, I mean, I'm not. I'm not helping my children. I know that. I'm not helping myself either. But but back to what I was talking about. We're on this opioid crisis. Yes, I'm smoking. I apologize. It's been rough. It's been a rough month. Um, I turned 36 at the beginning of September, and 3 days before my birthday, um, I went to the ER. I was in severe pain. It was going into my chest. I have chronic back pain. I fell years ago, 8 feet, and hit my back on concrete and fractured it. I've been a CNA since I was 15. Uh, that's just hard work. I gave birth to 10 children. So my body's been through a lot. I've been in several car accidents, one that included a semi. And then I was abused as a child in foster care for years. Oh, I had some good ones, and they know who they are and they know I appreciate them um, a lot for being there. And a couple of them are still there for me and my siblings, uh, the ones of us that are still alive. Um, because I lost my brother to suicide in February 2020. Um, yeah, he was 26 years old. And I'll address that on another chat sometime. I can't tonight. I want to focus on why I've been absent on my blog and this opioid crisis, war on drugs bullshit. So, like I said, I'm 36. Turned 36. beginning of September. 3 days before my 36th birthday, I wound up in the hospital with intense pain in my back that wrapped around my chest. And every time I would even try to take a sip of water, soda, try to swallow jello or ice cream, it felt like it got stuck right here, not in my throat, but right here, and I couldn't breathe because my back was just contracting. Um, so I finally gave in after 2 days and it getting worse, and my mouth, I could not get my tongue to unstick from the roof of my mouth. I was that thirsty because I wasn't able to drink anything. Um, so I went in and I asked for IV. And I told him what was going on. And luckily, I had a doctor that's been in the ER for years. Knows me, knows my children, saved my father's life, and he's watched me progress and watched, you know, um, my issues become worse and worse because uh, I'm not one that really likes doctors. I don't like to go unless I'm starting to panic, freak out completely because the pain is so bad, or whatever the symptom is, it's got me scared. Um, like my blood pressure, for instance, 220 over 130. Uh, Panic in the hospital, and it was a lot of it was pain. As soon as they gave me IV Dilaudid and got my uh, pain level down, and it dropped my blood pressure down. I actually had to have 2 doses of the Dilaudid uh, because I wasn't allowed to take the Tylenol. Because get this, I was in pain clinic for several years. Um, Never had a miscount on my pills. Always tested with what I was supposed to have in my system. Nothing extra. You know, I was on it. I stayed on it. I tried not to take as much as what I was prescribed. You know, and that's the thing. You don't want to set a schedule with pain meds because if your body gets used to that schedule, you become dependent, and dependency can turn into addiction. Thing is when you're in severe chronic pain, addiction is more than likely not going to happen. As long as you take the minimum dose to get you to a minimum level of pain that you can be comfortable with. Um, and for some people, like myself, it depends on where the pain is located on what I can deal with. If it's my neck pain because I have some herniated discs in my neck, yeah, I can deal with a pain level of 6 and just deal with it. I don't need to take a narcotic for it. I have Crohn's disease. I really cannot handle anything pain level higher than 4 with my Crohn's disease. I also have an AVM in my brain, um, and so it causes migraines, and the migraines get bad, and I have seizures. Um, so, for safety reasons, I do not like to deal with anything over a 5. I won't take a narcotic at over 5. When it gets up to like 8 or 9 and it's held there for a couple days, I'll go to the hospital um, and get some tests ran because, like I said, I have the AVM. So I never know if it's going to burst or if it's going to throw a blood clot. But, I mean, for the most part, I did well. I normally held 2 to 3 jobs, went to college full time, and had 5 kids. Then in 2012, everything changed. Basically, I didn't have anything to live for anymore. Um, so I wasn't as careful with my body. Uh, Wound up falling through somebody's floor. They forgot to tell me that they'd removed their basement stairs and just covered it with quarter-inch foam board, and fell 8 feet into their concrete basement and knocked myself unconscious. Um, Fractured three of my thoracic vertebrae, um, and I was already dealing with degenerative disc disease that was hereditary. So, a lot of back pain. And I was in the pain clinic for years, and I became homeless. And I was sleeping in a vehicle that rarely ran. Um, and I ended up missing 3 appointments because uh, I didn't even have a working phone half the time. And they would schedule an appointment and leave a message with my mom or, uh, you know, another family member, and they'd forget to tell me about it. Um, so 3 appointments missed, you get terminated from the pain clinic. I'm trying to get back in it. Well, then I just dealing with a family doctor who's now retired, and I have a new family doctor. But so he was doing most of my prescriptions for my pain meds, and I was on hydrocodone, and I went from taking 1 to 2 7.5 milligram hydrocodone every 4 to 6. Oh no, it says every 4 hours as needed for pain, up to 12 tablets a day. That's a high dose. But once your pain gets under control and you're not fighting a plateau, you're getting, treatment, you can lower your dose. And I also had a TENS unit, not the ones you buy in stores, they're junky. This one actually came from a physical therapy department, and I was getting uh, massage therapy twice a week through the physical therapy department, and their big machine, like they had a big universal machine that if you've ever seen an O2 concentrator, it's bigger than that. And it had like 16 pads that they just stuck on your area of pain. So mine went from my neck down to my hips on both sides and down the middle, and it would just send electric shock pulses, and then they cover it with a hot towel. And so I was doing that 3 times a week. Um, and it was working. I got down to where I could take 5 milligram doses, 1 to 2 every 4 to 6 hours as needed for pain. And then it got to where I could go. I didn't have such severe pain every day. Like I could just not take it for a day, 2 days, 3 days, whatever, unless I'd done something to aggravate it and get it back up there. Um, my problem was that I would wait and wait and wait and wait and hold off as long as possible before I took it. But then I was at that high point of pain where a normal dose wouldn't cut it. So then I'd have to go out to the ER, and they'd have to give me medications intravenously. And I know that wasn't good. Um, got in a lot of trouble, from the doctors about it, because they prescribe you those medicines to take, not to hold off, so that way you don't have to go out to the hospital. But addiction's a real fear. It really was. I was already getting rumors passed around about me, about how I was so bad on drugs. I mean, supposedly I was using cocaine. I have a heart murmur. One little fleck of cocaine would explode my heart, most likely. I can't even drink without getting a panic attack, because if my heart rate goes up to 90, I'm freaking out. I do enjoy a glass of wine every now and then, once a year, normally. I'm pretty lame, really lame. But so here I am, 3 days before my 36th birthday, and they decide that they're going to do a CT scan because I had severe acid reflux for 2 years because I was pregnant with my toddler and my now 9 month old. Um, and so I go, they had me drink this dye, which is horrible, by the way. I go in, and here they are trying to check my esophagus and the lining in my chest to see if there's been severe damage from this acid reflux that I had for 2 years. And I guess when they did the CT scan, they saw more than what they expected. The dye had went into my liver. So this doctor that I love and cherish came in, and before he came in, another lab person came in and drew more blood, and a nurse came in and gave me an asked my level of pain, and it had still been down, but it was going back up from the movement in the CT scan, getting up and down and stuff. And so I asked for 2 extra strength Tylenol. She comes back and she gives me Dilaudid, and she says, "Doc will be in a minute." I said, I said, "I don't need the Dilaudid." I said, "I can deal with the Tylenol." And she's like, "No, no, you can't. Doc will be in here." Well, so that was 10 minutes. I'm sitting here like, okay, what the hell's going on? Doc comes in. He says, "How long you been sick?" "What you mean, how long I've been sick?" He's like, "Lethargic. You said that you'd been a couple weeks ago." I was like, "Yeah, I couldn't get out of bed, Doc, Uh, my boyfriend barely thought that I'd given up on life again. And I hadn't. There was no reason for me to give up on life. I've got 2 precious little boys I gotta think of. But I got up maybe to go to the bathroom 3 times in a 24-hour period. I couldn't stay awake for the life of me, no matter what. It's not that I was lazy. I just could not wake up, and it was scaring me. But then it seemed to have gotten better. But so the doctor said, "Yeah." He's like, "That's probably because you were fighting a coma." The fuck you mean I was fighting a coma? Turns out my blood sugar was 500 that night. And according to my AC1s, it had been in those levels for a while. Uh, my A1Cs were 10.5. And I was like, okay, so gestational diabetes wound up turning into type 2. Okay, I can deal with that. Now, why'd she say I can't have Tylenol? He says, "Well, that's another bad thing." He said, "Shante," he says, "your liver enzymes are gone." He's like, "They are gone." He's like, "I had to check them," he said, "because the CT scan showed that you had something called fatty liver, have liver damage, quite a bit. Now, a liver can repair itself if you get it in time. How much mine will be able to be repaired, I don't know, because my GP still has not sent me to a specialist, and it's been almost a month." And the ER doctor also said that I could not take, I had been taking Tylenol because I don't like to go to the hospitals. This new war on drugs had it so that only specific doctors can prescribe opiates. Um, and I have Crohn's disease, and so I cannot have NSAIDs. It worsens the disease and causes necrotic uh, tissue, intestinal tissue. And I don't feel like being, placed with a colostomy bag. So I have the choice of Tylenol or opiates. And the war on drugs doesn't really allow for the opiates with most doctors. Now, a lot of doctors can prescribe it, but they don't like to. And I love my doctor. I really do. But the one I have now keeps trying to say he can't prescribe um, the opiates. Until I get an appointment with pain clinic. Because see, we had to appeal to get me back in. He says that he can't do a certain amount, but yet this is my boyfriend's doctor as well, and my boyfriend is white, and he'll give him 90 at a time. Okay, that's fine. Um, but I've had to fight and fight and fight and fight to get pain meds when it's been really bad, and um, I've had to fight when it came down to my mental health to get my benzos back when my brother died. And he's quoted me that people of African American descent are at a higher risk to develop addiction to opiates. Yeah, that's racial profiling. I get it. I know. He's an older doctor. He's the sweetest thing, though. He really is. I mean, it's God bless everything. And you know, he was the only one that thought to hug me when my brother committed suicide. So I really appreciate him. And I understand that there are studies out there that show that. But, here we are with these test results. I've got an ER doctor telling me, lay off the Tylenol. He prescribed me an opiate and wanted my GP to follow up and prescribe it until I could get into a pain clinic where they could do opiates that don't have like Tylenol in them to better take care of my liver, because they said it was like triple what they should have been. The liver enzymes, I guess there's two different kinds, and I can't remember the letters. Everything's a letter: AFT, NFL. So I can't remember what those were, but they're triple. And then the of course diabetes does not help your liver. And then they had me on medication for the gestational diabetes and then diabetes itself, and then they put me on the GP instead of continuing my pain meds, even though he made me sign a contract stating I wouldn't get pain meds from any doctor but him. And then he didn't prescribe any. So, like, if I go to the ER, they cannot prescribe me an at-home medication because of this contract. So I'm stuck. I'm having to take Tylenol. And I saw him yesterday. Oh, my little one's asleep. But basically, this is what it boils down to. Chronic, the opioid crisis, war on drugs crap are killing chronic pain patients. We have no choice but to take large amounts of Tylenol to help our pain. And it's killing us. It's killing our liver. I'm 36 years old. And my liver is about that of a 60-year-old man who has drank a case of beer every day for 40 years. Because of the opioid crisis. I'll come back at another time and pick up with other stuff that I'm dealing with, pain-wise, or not pain-wise, but, health-wise. I gotta go get the baby. Thanks. See you soon.